I am, if as some of you might have known, since I've seen a lot of you there, um, I do a tech time every Thursday at 10 a.m. So I did do this presentation for them back in April. So if you were on there, this is going to be a review. You can answer all the questions and be really smart. For those of you who weren't, will be something new, but it's always good to have as a refresher. So if you go, if you guys are like, Lynn, I know all this, scream at me when we can talk about something else. But anyway, so we are on computers. I don't know about you, but my screen time every day is probably 12 hours or so with COVID, because the only way to interact with people is through a screen typically anymore. So we're going to go through some strategies to stay safe online. A lot of them are simple and you shouldn't have to do a whole lot. So shout if you have questions, but I might ask Ted Strand to keep an eye out on people and mute and unmute people if I start going in a tangent and I stop paying attention to you guys, because it's harder in a room via Zoom. Anyway, so first strategy for staying safe on, oops, is this going to work for me? Please work. There we go. There we go. First strategy is to stay up to date on your computer's operating systems and all your programs.
Why is she not on here?
Because this is from her computer.
Oh,
So if your computer looks like this, I'm sorry to tell you, it's time to buy something new. After a while, Microsoft and Apple and other manufacturers stop sending updates to your computer, which do automatic refreshes and go, it's kind of like a car recall. They go, oh, we made a mistake. How about we're going to send you a way to fix that, but you have to restart your computer and add some new enhancements. So and you can, if you stop getting those notifications on your computer or it restarts when you close down, it will ask to restart with update systems. That's a sign that you need to get a new computer. There is, you do want to make sure on your computer that you have the auto reminders turned on. Most of it's defaulted to do that, but you can check in your control panel or system preferences to see that is the case. But the best way to prevent any cyber attacks on you and your family is prevention and awareness. So always be proactive versus reactive. And this is something easy. Once you set it to do it automatic, you don't have to worry about it. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. And if you need help figuring out if your computer or phone or anything like that does do it automatically for you, shout and I'll help you out, because each computer is a little different. Anyway, so now that our computer's up to date and all our software is up to date, software also does up-to-date stuff. Zoom does updates from a while and that adds security enhancements. So most of those programs do it automatically, but just keep your eye out for that. Don't hit the remind me tomorrow button. I know I'm notorious for doing that as the next person, but it's well worth your time to do it now. So now that our computer's up to date, let's go online. These little icons, you might seen them on your computer or smartphone or tablet. These little icons represent applications that allow you to access the internet. So another word, the term that all of these are called is a browser. So browsers connect you to the internet. And there are different types of browsers, as you can see here. Um, and so take a look, you might recognize them, see which one you use. It's always a good idea to have multiple browsers on your computer. Different websites work better for different websites. If you're having trouble with our live stream on a Sunday, my first question is, what browser are you on? And have you tried a different browser? The easiest way to troubleshoot is to check and make sure all of those are running for you. So if you don't know which one you use, check it out, see what they are. If you don't have more than one on your computer, if you've never heard of any of these, but you just have what's defaulted on your computer, you can download Chrome, which is the one on the left, which is owned by Google. You can download that off the internet, as well as Firefox, that middle one, and Opera. Those three you can download for any device. Edge is Microsoft only, so PCs do that, and Safari is for Apple products. So none of them are perfect. They all do different things. They're all about the same. There are features each of them have that the other ones don't. So I am not going to say, Firefox is the best one, because they're all different. They're all good in their own little ways. But they do automatically update from time to time. So you don't have to worry about checking those features as well. So what if you're online and you see a screen like this? Most browsers let you know you're accessing an insecure page on the web by displaying a message like this. If you see a security certification error, don't ignore it. Instead, close the web page and go back to a different site. If you know it's like, this is my bank, I don't know why it's giving me errors, try a different browser and go through that way. But a lot of times you get it when you're searching something in Google, and that's when you go back and try to find a different link for it. So my next strategy for you to stay safe online, the easiest way to get attacked is by somebody getting your password. So use strong passwords. So best practices when you use when you're trying to create a password, use a different password for every website. I cannot say that enough. Different password every website. I know it's unrealistic for your little brain, because it's a lot easier to type in your cat's name or your grandchild and your street address. But that is the best practice. Another thing to do is change it every 90 days or so, because it constantly are doing things. And don't think of passwords like one word, like password or dog or whatever. Think of passphrases. So try typing in a sentence like, my favorite book is blank and blank, or something longer. The more characters you have in your password, the stronger it is. And please, 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 please use upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. So this is a chart to give you a sense of why I'm being so paranoid about this. You can see that gray column in the first thing is numbers of characters. So if you have a password with 4 characters in it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, you can see all of it is instantly. And then you go in the columns, it's numbers only. So it's only numbers based, letters, upper and lowercase, upper lowercase, and then with symbols. So you can see these are why you do that. And a lot of companies now are doing things like requiring you to have symbols and upper and lowercase things. So that's why it's so important. And you're going, Lynn, who is typing all these passwords in to see if they can get into my bank account? Well, they have computers that just do it automatically for them all the time. It's just going 24/7. So this is why we harp on this over and over again. So so if you're going, Lynn, I've got a piece of paper with all my passwords on it. You're going to have me crossing out these and doing, there is a better way. There's something called a password manager. A password manager assists in generating, retrieving complex passwords, potentially stored such passwords in an encrypted database, or calculating them on demand for you. So these are computer programs that create passwords for you and encrypt them so that they are protected for you. So you only have to remember one password and it brings up all your rest. On your browser, you might have something that says, do you want to save this password in Chrome or Internet Explorer? And you say yes, and it always stays there. That is a password manager. That is a free password manager provided by your browser. So, so free ones are great, but they aren't as encrypted and secure as other ones. So if you want to invest in a more secure one, which you pay for, and it keeps, I use 1Password, which is there. And I also have a family plan. So all my family has an account and we can all see each other's passwords if we needed to. Because the worst thing that I've read in the news, the scariest thing that's happening now are spouses dying and not sharing the passwords with family and or their spouse, and they're locked out of their bank account, they're locked out of every security, social security, their computer with all the documents on it. So if you take nothing away from today, other than to update your software, to share your computer password, your secure website passwords with loved ones, because the last thing we want is you getting hit by a bus and loved ones not being able to access all your records and things. So if you're not going to use a password manager, share that binder, make sure people know where that is. Okay, so strategy number 4, protect yourself from social engineering. So what is social engineering? It's a very big word, and there's a lot in it. It's basically, think of computer bad guys, all of the ways they try to convince you to give them information so that they can get stuff from you. So one of them is called spoofing, which is which happens a lot, unfortunately. It's basically attempting to gather your information through deceptive emails, spoofing someone that you trust and you have a relationship with, and they're trying to get you to do something. So this has happened several times to church members. They get an email like this from Pastor Don. So this spoofer is requesting the relationship you have with Pastor Don, saying, you know, of course you're going to help him with a favor because it's Pastor Don, right? So you email them back and then they ask for, can you go to Giant and pick up a gift card? And then they'll ask you to type in the gift card number and all of that. And then you're giving them free money basically that they'll use. So how do you know if you open this email that this isn't from Pastor Don? Anything jump out at you guys? You guys are all muted, but that's okay. So
Yeah.
one of the things,
Check the email address of the sender.
yes. Yes. Anything else? So as Rob said, if you double click on the name Don Lincoln, it shows info@office.net. Well, I have a photo here over on the right-hand side, which is an actual email from Pastor Don. You can see his email is dlincoln@westminsterpc.org. So double click that name and you'll see that. Another thing that jumps out at me is there's no subject master or subject. Pastor Don usually always puts a subject in the email. Just kind of giving you a thing. From time to time, maybe he'll forget, but very rarely is that the case. Another thing is Pastor Don would never ask for a specific, like, I need a favor, contact me ASAP. He would actually put the favor in the email if he wanted something from you. He's not going to be cryptic and kind of vague. Another thing is there's usually always a typo or two. And I don't know if Pastor Don's very notorious about grammar. So if there are a lot of grammar errors, that might jump out at you as well. Another thing, I don't know about your email provider. My email provider has a little photo of my contacts. So you can see that in the email, there's a picture of Pastor Don, the real email. There's a picture of Pastor Don, where in the spoofing email, there's just a DL. So that's assigned to me right away that that is not Pastor Don, as well as his footer, which just has all the church's contact information versus just lead pastor. So when you get emails, unfortunately, in today's world, you always have to be cautious. The first thing you do when opening any email from anyone is to assume that it's somebody pretending to be someone. And then you kind of rule out the possibilities. Always be, I hate to say it, be very, very, very paranoid. Don't trust anything you read online, and then kind of rule out, okay, well, it passed this bar, it passed this bar. So I trust it now. So be very, very skeptical about what you see online at the moment. You're seeing a lot of that in the news in particular at the moment. So as a reminder for spoofing emails, all of the church, if you ever get an email from the church, the domain you're going to get it from is westminsterpc.org. So if you are ever getting anything like that, that is something to keep your eye out. So another form of social engineering is called phishing, which is, again, attempting to gather information through deceptive emails, through websites, through phone calls, through text messages. Unfortunately, it's getting worse and worse. So something to be aware of, these phishing and spoofing emails I'm talking about, they tend to happen most often on Mondays and Tuesdays. And you can see different major companies have them happen on different days of the week. So it's good to be vigilant. It's not just coming from friends, you know, it's coming from actual companies as well. And you can see here's some other top brands and when they came out. So if you're getting emails from Microsoft on weekdays, be suspicious. So keep your eye out. Okay, so what are some phishing type emails that you might receive? Deactivation scams. There are scams that claim that your Apple or Microsoft account will be deactive if you don't take immediate action. If you get a message like this one, don't click through any of the links or any attachments in the email itself. If it's in a reference to an account you have, go to your browser, type in the bank's or website, log into your account, and check and see if there's anything in there. You would see it there if there is anything valid, or call your local, bank, or call Microsoft or whoever it is. Always be do your homework, check it out before assuming that this is actually true.
Lynn, one of the ones I get all the time, I shouldn't say all the time, but I've gotten at least 3 or 4 times. I'll get something that looks like it's from Social Security that they're deactivating my account, and I won't get my next check unless I respond. And the first couple of times I called Social Security, and they told me it's definitely a phishing thing, ignore it. That if that was something that serious, they would contact me directly on the telephone.
Right.
So, but that goes on a lot, and mostly because they figure out your age. Once they figure out your age, they target you with certain kinds of things like that, and also bank things, which I'll talk about later, because one of the scams was pretty involved, and they don't not quite know how to stop it. So just continue. I just wanted to mention these guys. Social Security is one of their favorite ones, or the Internal Revenue Service.
Lynn?
Yes.
The other day I received, I was on my desktop, and this message came across saying urgent, like, something about activity, and it locked me. I could not do anything with my computer at all. It just locked me. Does that happen? What I did, I turned it off. I turned it off and then turned it on again. But does that happen when you just can't get back into your computer at all?
So it sounds like you were attacked through one of these emails accidentally, which happens, and I'll go through what to do if this happens to you. But one of the biggest things that happen if you either open a link or do something through that is it adds something called malware, which we'll talk about later. And it does things like forces your computer off. The best thing to do is shut down your computer at that point.
What I did. That's what I did.
So you did everything right. Yeah, they do things like that all the time.
It was very scary because it would look very,
It is. And
and
they add pop-ups that flash at you and make noise. It's frightening.
and I couldn't do anything with it. All right.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Another thing to be aware of, loans and things. I get student loans calls all the time saying that it's being, and I don't have student loans. So they come through email, through phone calls, and text. So if you get a phone call on your cell phone, make sure you block that phone number so they don't call you again. But there's also big stuff going on now about the election, and trying to convince you stuff about the election. So be very, very cautious. I always recommend if you get a phone call from a number you don't know, like in your contacts, don't answer it. Let it go to voicemail. If it's someone important, they will leave a voicemail, okay? Another scam that you might see is the Nigerian scam. This has been around since the 1990s. And it's a lure that this prince from Nigeria is in help and needs you to send him a little bit of money, and then he's going to, reimburse you with thousands or millions of dollars. Don't fall for this. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. As with anything, be very, very, very cautious. Another thing, as Nick was saying, very scary, IRS, Social Security. There's also threats that you're going to go to jail, and they rely on a guilty conscience. You might not, like, it might be a parking ticket or something that they're claiming, but they're very, very, very successful.
Lynn,
Yes.
I just wanted to add into this that they're very good. I've gotten the thing where it'll say to me, there's a judgment against me in California for so much money, and I need to call them right away. But the thing about it is they will say, you're the head of a company that you ran during these years, because it's public information. So they'll even say, while you were running this business between the years of 1980 and 1990, this happened and the judgment's been ruled against you. I mean, they get very sophisticated. And because so much information is public on you, they will then quote back to you stuff that they know is true about you. And that really freaks you out. So again, I had to call like California, the appellate court, and say, what is this? And they said, it's garbage, it's junk. There's no, thing put in against you or anything. They're just scamming you. So they get pretty sophisticated because they can get your background information.
They can. And we'll skip, I'll get back to a thing similar, but yeah. A lot of these are just trying to give you gut-wrenching emotional reactions right away, and to instantly respond to that reaction. So take a deep breath, pause, reflect, and then go from there. Another scam is, I think Nick touched on this one too, tech support scams, which go, these come from phone and email as well. And they claim to be from Microsoft or Apple or other software you may own. And they're trying to convince you to call a toll-free number, and then they will look at your computer and say, yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here. And then they will ask you to install software on your computer to fix it. But then it's added all this software on your computer, which is then going to freeze your computer like Anne had, where just you can't do anything. It's called malware. And they can get your credit card information and all kinds of stuff. So the key with tech support is, has a real tech support person ever contacted you for help before they knew that you had a problem on your computer? I'm guessing not. If you have, I need to get the name of your tech company. Another one to be aware of is save a friend email. This comes especially through email and social media. And there's also phone calls as well. I had my friend's grandmother got a call saying, your grandson was just arrested. We need you to send bail money. And they knew the name of the grandson and everything, but you could tell that it was not his. Oh no, that one was, there was somebody claiming to be the grandson. Yes. So this tries to get details from you off the internet like Nick had, or from your social media account, friends that you know. And of course you're going to do this. Of course you're going to, help them out. Another popular phishing techniques include trying to get you to open an email sent from someone you know, an email from a delivery service sending you a link to delivery updates for a package you ordered off Amazon, disaster relief scams, and soliciting donations for aid victims that aren't actually going to real charities. So don't, unless it's from a company that you know you've subscribed to their emails, like Family Promise or something, don't just donate through the website itself. So what do you do if you get any of these types of attacks? Report it. The first thing you should do, if it's somebody that you know, like Pastor Don or a grandchild or something like that, if it came in an email, forward it to the victim and tell them to report it. And encourage them, even though their email was not hacked, it was a fake email. Again, I will say that again, their email was not hacked. There's a difference between hacked. That means that the person somehow got a hold of your friend's email password, logged in and sent it through their email. That is much harder to do, and very rarely happens. This is spoofing, where somebody pretends to be that person. So their password was not compromised in their email, but just say, it's a good reminder to somebody's stealing your identity. Be cautious, and change your password just as a precaution. Again, I always go be over cautious, be paranoid with the internet these days. I'm an optimistic person, but when it comes to the internet, I am very, very terrified of all the things that happen on it. So say you're the victim. Say somebody
Hey,
goes,
Lynn, question. If somebody, sent a friend of mine an email that was supposedly from me, you're saying for them to send it to me and let me know, and I should report it. Who am I supposed to report it to?
yeah, we're going through that now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No worries. The person that sent it should, because it's good for you to be aware that somebody's, pretending to be you. But the person that sends it to you should also report it. Most emails have a mark as phishing email button on it. If you want more details on how to do that through your particular email service, I can get you links. I know Gmail, instead of sending it to trash, you can mark it as spam, or you can mark it as a phishing email. So, but say you're a victim, you will report it to phishing to the FTC, and then change your password as a precaution. So how do you report it to the FCC? If it's an email, forward it to spam.uce.gov and the anti-phishing working group at reportphishing@apwg.org. Say you get a text message, forward it to spam 7726. And then let's see, you can also report it through a complaint, which is ftc.gov. If it's a Gmail account that they created in spoofing, you can also report it to Gmail. And again, because 80% of these spoofing emails come through a fake Gmail account. So they have really pushed hard to fight against spoofing emails.
Elaine?
Yes.
That's a very helpful page. Are you going to give us a copy of this presentation, or can we get like a couple of these key pages? And
yeah, I figured I would say I would give a.
I can't see Dave Goodell, but if Dave I'm sure Dave's there. Maybe if you get it to Dave, Dave can get it to all of us.
Yes,
Dave's
I
got
will
the
send
list.
links more than the PowerPoint because it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Lynn, it's also being recorded, so it will be on the church YouTube website.
Yes.
Yeah, but it'd be good to like have this page so you have the addresses that you can just send the stuff to.
Yeah.
Lynn, could I also make a suggestion? A while ago when you were saying change your password, I know I've got, my email account set up on my phone and my laptop. And so when you change it on one, be sure to change it on the other.
Most all of those will then log you out on your, if you change it on your computer, it will go, your password no longer works on your smartphone. So you'll have to type it in. And I know that's a lot of reasons why people decide not to change their passwords. I know, I really need to change my Netflix password, but I know that I'm going to have to type it into my TV, and it's a lot easier to type a 6-character number thing than like a 21. So it's one of those, it's annoying and frustrating, but it's going to save you in the long run. So, it's better to, spend 5 minutes in typing in that ridiculous password than, getting attacked and having to claim that this is actually you and that your identity wasn't stolen, which is just exhausting. Another strategy to be aware of is use HTTPS. So you're probably going, what the heck is HTTPS? It stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. You don't need to remember that. Just know it's how data is sent from your browser to the website that you visit. HTTPS, the S stands for secure. So you'll see the HTTPS on banking websites, shopping websites, anything where it involves money, because it encrypts your communication to prevent anyone from stealing sensitive information like your credit cards and passwords. Today, most all websites have an HTTPS, including our Westminster website. You will see it if you go on your browser. You'll see where you can type the URL, which is the website name. URL means Uniformed Resource Locator, if you're curious. It's where you type in Google, most likely, but you can see there's a little padlock, and most of them are green, depending on your browser. And that tells you it's a encrypted site, it's safe, it's legitimate, and that it's safe to put your credit card information on it. If you don't see the little padlock, that is a sign that this is maybe a phishing website. It's not the company it claims to be. But it's always good to see that. There's usually some green stuff in it, as well as the little lockbox.
So Lynn,
Yes.
with the little padlock,
Yeah.
the spoofers or the spammers have not figured out a way to mimic the padlock?
Well, they could buy HTTPS license, but it's one more thing that they have to spend money on. And most of them don't want to spend the money on it. I'm sure in the next 5 years, every phishing website will have the encrypted padlock, because the hackers and the computer, bad guys, as we'll call them, they are always 5 steps ahead of us. We figure out what they're doing, and then we inform everyone to, do this or watch out for that. And then they change it again because they know we've gotten smarter. So they need to be smarter. So they are always going to be ahead of us, and we're always playing catch up, unfortunately. So I'm sure that will be changing, but it is a one red flag. The nice thing is, it would be encrypted if they buy an HTTPS. So they couldn't necessarily get any information at the moment. I'm sure that will change, as everything, it's just always changing. But it does encrypt everything that happens on that website. So after you do that one session, it's over. It's not going to save that information. So that's a good question. Here's hoping stays that way for the moment. Okay, so how can you One of the nice things I like to use is there's an extension you can get on the Chrome, Firefox, and Opera browsers, which is called HTTPS Everywhere. What this extension does is it makes every website encrypt or an HTTPS site, even if that website doesn't have the S, it's just HTTP. So it basically encrypts all of your website information online. So this is great as a easy additional step of how to make sure everything you're doing is a little bit more safe. And this extension will also yell at you when you get on a website, like I showed you at the beginning of the thing, the error message of how to do that. So I will send out links to how to add extensions to your browser. So you can do that. And I won't go into the rabbit hole of how to add extensions, which is a completely different conversation. Another thing to be aware of is watch what you download, click, and install. It's easy to overlook the fine print when you're online and clicking away. It's when you easily install new software, be sure to notice what boxes are pre-checked and unchecked when you don't want. Sometimes when you download things like Zoom or Dropbox or things like that, there'll be things like, do you also want to install extensions to your browser? And it adds all of this garbage on the top of your website browser that you don't want. And it includes all kinds of malware. So be very cautious. Don't quickly click things. Go through things very slowly and cautiously. So I've said the word malware before. What is it? Malware is malicious software. This is something that it sounds like Anne got, which it's software that you accidentally download, and it harms your computer in various ways. Antivirus software like AVG or Mahaffey or McAfee can help protect you from malware, but make sure if you use antivirus software to keep it updated. Make sure you're not hitting the update later button, and make sure that you keep your subscription up. A lot of times PCs especially give you 1 year free antivirus software, and then you just never pay for it afterwards. So if that's the case for you, make sure, I hate to have you spend money, but it is one way to protect your computer from harm. So there are the kind of different forms of malware include adware, which is unwanted software designs to throw up on your ads. So if you've ever seen those pop-ups that pop up on your screen that are usually taking you to places you don't want to go, like porn sites or, you know, gambling websites and things like that, and they make lots of noise and it's not fun. That means that you have the adware on your computer. So another form of malware is spyware, which secretly observes your computer and tracks your user activities without permission and reports it to the software's author. So this happens, and then it's kind of like, if you've seen some of the documentaries out recently, like The Great Hack, they track what your data you're doing, and then they report it and sell it to companies, these large tech companies out there. And then, you know, that's a whole nother conversation, but the things that they're doing with your data that you don't know you're agreeing to. Ransomware is the worst form of malware. It's secret or a form that locks you out of your device and or encrypts your files and forces you to pay them a ransom before you can get your information back. This is what we want to avoid. This is why we pay for antivirus software, because we don't want to pay thousands of dollars if we get ransomware. To give you an idea of how expensive it can be, Florida City, Riviera Beach in 2019 paid $600,000 to hackers to deploy ransomware in the city's computer system. So they charge thousands and thousands of dollars for this. I know this happened to our preschool director at the church. So what can you do if you get ransomware? You have two options. You either have to pay it and you hope you might not necessarily get your money. You might not get your data back. They might go, well, you've paid $1,000. Now we want you to pay $10,000. So there's no guarantee that you will get your files back. So the other option, which is what I recommend, is backing up your computer, which you buy an external hard drive that looks something like this. You plug it into your computer and it takes all your files and backs it up. So that's a longer conversation as well. So if you have more questions about that, we can go into it. But it takes everything on your computer and saves it to this thing. And you can set it to automatically back up every day, every week. And then if you get malware, you just wipe your computer clean, you plug in that external hard drive and it brings back all of your data. So that's the best thing that you can do. If you get malware on your computer, you can go, I'm smarter than the hackers. I have a backup, and you can bring back your information before they did anything to your computer.
What's the approximate price of that device?
It depends on how big a hard drive you buy. Most of them now are like $50. It's not super expensive. You don't need anything probably bigger than 500 gigs. Although I think it's harder to buy those because they're so small. A lot of them are 1 terabyte now, but all of the hard drives are about the same. So I'd say whatever deal you can get on Amazon or Best Buy or Staples is all you need.
And what's it called?
External hard drive. I can send links of how to back up in my recap email that Dave will send out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So how do you get malware on your computer? There are a couple ways. So one of them is by clicking on links and attachments in spoofing and phishing emails. Another way to do it is online ads on social media and on websites. So never click on an ad you see online. It's going to direct you to certain places online. Say I see a shoe ad, say on social media, and I go, oh, I want to learn more about the shoes. You can see it's an ad on social media because it says sponsored in the corner. So if you see a sponsor, that's an ad that isn't part of your news feed on social media. And it's a way for you to check, especially now during the election cycle. Oh, this is a paid advertisement from this political party or whatever. So it's a way to inform you that this isn't anything your friend sent you. It's an ad, and there are tons of ads everywhere. So say you want more information about whatever ad you're seeing, open a new tab or window in your browser, and then type in the company's name and go through their website. Don't click through the ad on social media or on a website. So because of various reasons, you might get malware. It's also going to track that information. If you click on an ad, say, on Amazon, and then you see it everywhere else on the internet because you bought diapers or whatever, and it thinks that's, oh, you now want baby stuff, and you see it everywhere. So that's one of the reasons why that happens. So one of the best things you can do, and it's so easy to avoid unwanted ads, is to add an ad blocker extension. So you can install these for Chrome, Safari, or all of the basic browsers, and I can send links out. A couple of things you should know about ad blockers. Sometimes ad blockers prevent you from seeing content you really want to see. Blah, 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 blah. So say you're like on Wall Street Journal and you want to read an article. Sometimes for a lot of newspaper sites, that's the only way they make money because their actual newspapers no longer, are making as much money. So they go, oh, to view this content, please turn off your ad blocker. So you can turn off your ad blocker for a specific site. But for the majority of stuff, it's a great way to protect yourself from malicious ads. And it takes 5 seconds and you don't have to worry about it. So despite our best efforts and all your vigilance, bad stuff can still happen on your computer. How can you tell your computer is infected? You have pop-up ads, programs start acting weird, files won't open, your browser's homepage extends to one you want, new toolbars, extensions, plugin appear on your browser, and it can slow your computer down. So the best thing you to do, if you see stuff you don't recognize on your computer, you can delete it from your computer, clear your browser history, and if you have problems, take your computer to an authorized repair shop. If you have any questions, please let me know and I will help. I know we're running out of time, so I'll stop. And if you guys have questions, oh, I'm sorry, guys, I'm seeing there's chat stuff now. We can go from there. So questions, comments? Yes, Jim.
Yeah.
So,
Lynn, I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Craig. I get a lot of junk and trash on my email. And is it useful to purge that from your computer? I mean, I just delete it out into the ether. And I wonder, should I do more to clean up my computer when I get rid of those? Yeah, okay.
Deleting trash is always a good idea. But again, if you delete something and then you need it back, it's gone for, well, it could be retrieved. It's just you'll have to take it to a repair shop to do. So yeah, I always say cleaning up and keeping your computer as fresh and up to date as possible is the best thing to do. But again, I'm giving you a lot of stuff, and this is like paranoid Lynn at the max. Like, this is things to do and you still won't have, but it's more likely that you won't. You don't have to take any of my advice. I'm just telling you, if you get malware on your computer, that these are the reasons maybe why. But yeah.
Yeah.
so
I've worked with with computer doctors in Westchester before to address some of my computer issues. Is it useful to have them occasionally review or update my computer programs and software? They can do that because they have screen share capabilities with my computer. Is that useful to do with them occasionally?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know people, do the Geek Squad from Best Buy, and that, gives them some peace of mind and comfort. So there are computer companies like that you can do. I'm always happy to help troubleshoot too as well. So if you go, I'm not sure what this is, and I can direct you, maybe this is something you can do on your own, or maybe you need to, do
Okay.
something more advanced than that.
All right, thank you.
But it's always good to have some tech people
Yeah.
in your back burner.
I mean, I've had Best Buy's program ever since I got a computer, and they're pretty good, except that you've got to let them take over your computer for 5 or 6 hours while they run all these safety security checks on your computer. So you lose it for a long period of time. But, for $90 a year or whatever it costs me, to have that peace of mind that they can just get in there and change everything that's wrong, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Jim, did you have a question? Jim Hatfield?
I had two, actually.
Yeah.
So the first, we have, virus protection, spyware protection, anti-malware all installed on our desktop. I think it all works fairly well. Yes, very good. If we got a malware or a spyware or something on the computer, do those programs clean it out when you run them, or do they only stop stuff from coming in? And then my second question is related to phones, which are little computers, smartphones.
Yeah.
I don't have any protection on those. What can you do to protect your phone from infection?
So as far as antivirus software, as I said, is just as good as the stuff that we're aware of, like stuff that they know that hackers or people are doing. So they are proactive, but they're getting smarter all the time. So they're always, finding new ways to get around them. So there is chance to get, malware on your computer. But the best thing to do with antivirus software will clean up any future stuff. If it gets through the antivirus software, it's probably going to be stuck on your computer and they won't catch it. So the best thing to do from there then is to bring it from a backup. And it's just going to be a time saver more than anything else, and peace of mind.
Lynn, is there a software that one can purchase that would scan your computer and remove any malware virus that got on it that you're not really aware of yet?
Possibly. I'm sure all of these antivirus softwares, I know they have different levels, and I don't know all of them well enough off the top of my head to go, McAfee, cleans up stuff that's currently on your computer as well as, so I'd have to do some more research. I don't do a whole lot with ad blockers or antivirus software because I'm on a Mac and they're so they're a lot harder to get malware on than PCs. So I don't have antivirus on my computer, which is probably a bad thing. So I'm not as familiar as some people are, but I'm sure there's stuff out there. And as far as your phone and securing your stuff, it's, as I said, a lot harder to get malware on your computer or on your smartphone, but it still happens. You can get ad blockers on your smartphone, and you can use VPNs, but a lot of times it's directing you through the internet. And at this point, there's not a whole lot of stuff they're doing on smartphones. So I wouldn't worry about that yet. Give it 3 years and we'll be saying something different. But at the moment, they're not attacking so much smartphones than anything else.
I'd like to share a story with everybody, just so you're aware of this pretty sophisticated spam that they're doing. I have a Citibank credit card for 46 years and had never been hacked into it. And a couple of weeks ago, I checked my 4 credit card accounts pretty regularly to make sure there's no charges on them that weren't done by me. And on my Citibank card, I noticed a couple of small charges. One was for a gas station. Another one was for a store for like $30. But there were a couple of them I knew I had not charged. And I called Citibank up and they told me I had 2 options. One was to get a new card. They were going to stop that account, give me a new card. And, since I had this card for 46 years and certain people automatically charge my card every month, I didn't particularly want to do that. So they said the other alternative was to block the card for 3 weeks, where I wouldn't use the card for 3 weeks and they would see if any charges came in. So 3 weeks went by, no charges came in. So I said, okay, unblock my card, I'll start using it again. And all of a sudden I got a slew of charges onto my account, amounting to several $100s. So I called them up and of course they stopped the card immediately. They cover all those charges and they sent me a new card. But the fraud department called me and was really curious and said, is there anybody you've been using recently that you never used before? And it turned out it was Amazon. And they found out that my card had been hacked through Amazon. Not Amazon had done it, but suppliers to Amazon who send them the products and services. They were the ones who had hacked my card. So basically they told me they couldn't say it officially or they could get sued. So don't tell anybody I told you this story. But they said, do not order anything through Amazon because they haven't been able to stop the third-party suppliers who might be hacking the cards. So I just passed that on to everybody. So I know a lot of people use Amazon.
Don't order anything from Amazon? Man, that's like an assault on American freedom, isn't it?
Well, it is. And that's why, they told me unofficially they can't say that. I mean, it could hurt Amazon terribly. But they're giving me the tip. I'm a customer for 46 years. That's where it happened. And it wasn't Amazon itself, it was the suppliers to Amazon.
Another thing to do is don't buy it from third-party people on Amazon. Like check what the company is you're buying it from. And if it's a company you don't recognize, don't buy it. And it's probably cheaper. It's probably more expensive to buy it through, a company that you know and trust.
Right.
But it's one way to safely pursue Amazon purchases. There, you can definitely check that kind of stuff out. But I had another point. Yes.
About Capital One, they used to let you put your own image on your credit card. You'd send in a picture and then they'd send you the credit card and you could change it as often as once a month. And every time you changed the picture, you got your card with your number, but it was a new expiration date and a new code on the back. So I always wondered, I thought that would probably stop somebody who's using your old expiration date and number. But they don't do that anymore. So I called Capital One and said, can I get a new card with my old number, but with a new date? And it took a lot of people not understanding what I wanted and why I wanted it. But they said they will send me a new card. Now, I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm hoping it's not going to have a new number, because the point was I wanted my same number, but because the expiration date's like 6 years away. So that's a long time before someone could be using your card. Hopefully now it'll have changed when they do that. So Lynn, what do you think? Would that work, do you think? Nope.
Yeah, it's like changing your password, every month.
And Amazon would ask me to update the card too when they saw that was coming through differently. So hopefully that'll work.
Another thing, as far as money, I don't know if you guys heard, and this might be more too tech for some of you, but there's Apple Pay and Google Pay, which you can use on your smartphones and computers now. And that is more secure than a credit card because it's all digital encryption. So that is another route to go as well. It changes the number through the computer every single time. So I'm doing almost everything through Apple Pay at the moment because of that. So that's another way to do it. And in this grocery stores now, I don't have to touch anything, which is phenomenal because, you know, we're so COVID paranoid. But that's another option. Yes, Dave.
Just to update everybody, I have a Google Chromebook, and I know not a lot of people do, but I don't have to buy malware or antiviral or anything, because nothing's on my computer. It's all stored on the Google Cloud. They're considerably cheaper, around $200. And my wife had her car window broken and her tablet taken from the front seat of the car, but she lost nothing because nothing was stored. She had everything on Google. So as soon as she got a new tablet, she was right back. Nothing had been lost. Whereas if you lose your computer and you're not backing it up, you tend to lose what's ever on your computer actually. So it's a different concept, but I have nothing stored on my computer. It's all on the Google Cloud, not even the Word processor, the PowerPoint processor, that's all.
Yes, Ted.
Yeah, Lynn, on the credit card, one of the protections that we use is each of the credit cards that we have and use, I have activated a feature that most all of the ones that we use provide is I get a notice every time there's a charge. I get that on either a text or an email. Some of them allow both, some do one or the other. So every time there's a charge on the card, I get that text message, and you can set the limit that you want to get if you don't want a lot of text, if you use a lot of credit card, but you can set it. Some of them will allow you to set it at zero, any charge, even a penny, or some, the lower minimum is just $1. But it's an added safety thing because I look at it when I hear it pinging when if Cheryl's out shopping or something, not now during COVID because she can't go out, but I get that notice every time. If there's a bad charge, I would see it right away because once in a while I'll get something when she's at home, and if it's a small an item and I haven't noticed her working on the computer and buying something from Disney or Lego, I'll ask her, did you make that purchase at XYZ company? And she said, oh yeah, I did that. I've never caught an invalid item on that method, but I have the security that I will get notified every time there's a hit on my card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I got Citibank put that on my card after we went through the whole fraud thing.
Yeah.
So that every time I make a charge, it comes on my cell phone. I say yes or no to it. And there's no
Discover
charge.
does that too, because I do that as
There's no
well.
charge.
Discover, I know, also does your social security number. So they will also keep your eye out. And if your social security number has been, used online, you can be aware of it.
The other thing is that I know this doesn't apply to most of you, well, not all of you, but you got to be really careful now if you go on dating websites. There's actually on some dating websites serious criminal activity going on to get some of your money, and you got to be really careful of who you're dating or who you're talking to. And the other thing that they tend to do is send you to some other site like Hangouts. Maybe you know that one, Lynn, because they can do nasty things on that kind of site, like dirty pictures or whatever you might want to do. So they try to get you off the regular places into these special places. And there's Hangouts and there's another one. But if you're on dating websites today, you got to be really careful. And they don't. And I talked to the head of one dating website that I'm on, and they didn't seem to care the criminal activity that was going on. So you gotta be really careful.
Basically, don't trust anybody even if you recognize the name, always be guarded. Don't assume it's the person you're talking to.
Exactly.
Just, and then, go, okay, because they said this, I think it's them. But always be, if it's a stranger, especially, don't friend people on Facebook you don't know. Don't respond to message it, like just always be paranoid. So be very, very cautious, because they might have a picture and it might not be the picture that they say they are.
You're correct.
So, yes, any other questions? If you think of things, feel free to email me too. I'm happy to answer anything. I might not know the answer, but I might be able to direct you to somewhere that might. So.
We just want you to know, Lynn, we love you and appreciate
Oh,
you.
very sweet. And I do a tech time every Thursday at 10 a.m. So if you ever want to pop in on that or get on my email list for that, let me know. I'm happy to do that. I record all of those as well. So you can go back and watch those if you're curious.